Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next, in our Business and Buzz segment, we have our returning contributor, Kyle Wool, president of Revere Securities. And today he is joined by his good friend, Micah Fink, founder and CEO of Heroes and Horses. Today, we're chatting about the program and how it's changing the narrative for veterans. Micah has spent 10 years in the Navy SEAL teams, both active duty and reserves. He's the recipient of numerous awards, including the Bronze Star. His experience, expertise, and passion for helping people is clearly reflected in his devotion to the Heroes and Horses program. Now, the Department of Veteran Affairs released an alarming report showing that at least 60,000 veterans died by suicide between 2008 and 2017, with little sign that the crisis is abating, despite suicide prevention being the VA's top priority. Now, Heroes and Horses' mission is to unprogram the program, to offer combat veterans an alternative solution for dealing with their scars, a solution that doesn't include prescription meds or traditional psychotherapy, but instead, horses. Now, as they get settled into the broadcast room, let's chat about these divine creatures that I, for one, am obsessed and in love with. Now, did you know that people are more willing to accept feedback from a horse than from other humans, as there is no judgment in the horse's response? People trust the horse's reflection as honest and direct. Horses have as many different personalities as the humans they work with, and a strong awareness and sensitivity to their surrounding, making them an incredible reflection of you in each moment of your experience. Also, horse family structure, similar to that of humans, encourages connection and mutual support to guarantee survival. Within the equine family, each horse counts on consistent behavior of the other members to maintain stable relationships with each other. Horses understand body language and can pick up subtle changes of every creature in their presence. Just amazing. So one's ability to successfully communicate with the horse provides the means to learn better ways of communicating with others. And here to chat Heroes and Horses are Micah and Kyle. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Zed. Yep, thank you.
Micah, so nice to finally chat with you. Congrats on all your success and on making a huge difference for our veterans.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Happy to be here.
And in part, I'd say that the Heroes and Horses program really helps veterans because it's entirely based on trust. After speaking with Clint last week, we've realized that a lot of veterans come from a distrustful place, but you're never going to fool a horse. Whether you're feeling anxious or fearful, the horse is going to know. What made you turn to horses as the basis of the program?
Well, that's a long question, but I'll sum it up the best I can. Horses are a mere reflection to who we are as people, because it's the quintessential predator and prey relationship. So horses are really designed to do one thing, and that's run away from things with eyes in front of their head. And so the horse-human connection is a profound relationship that establishes trust between two beings that really are not designed to be together, right? They're at odds. And so the way that we do that is establishing a foundation of communication. And so many times in our life, even with people, we just communicate the way that we want to. And so when we learn to communicate on their level, which is an instinctual, intuitive level, not a cerebral and mind-based level, we begin to direct and bring up that life force energy, that animal, and then direct it with quality. And then when that quality direction begins to happen, that's when leadership is established. And then these horses they'll follow you to the death. The stories of the old Bedouins or people like Xenophon and Greek mythologies, you learn about their horses would die next to them in battle. They would just, when the soldier would come off the horse, the horse would stay with them even in death. And so, for us, the problem with the American veteran is that, we're all living some type of identity, and so much of our life is about identity projection, and horses are very honest creatures. A horse doesn't lie. A horse doesn't want to take your job. A horse doesn't want to steal your girlfriend. Well, it might, I don't know. But a horse is a very honest creature. And so they can judge your true intentions outside of what you're projecting out, this identity. And so, as you get a look outside yourself, that's when you can begin to make those incremental steps that's required to change ourselves and not to be a victim of experience, but to be to be in participation of the creation of your own reality that you're experiencing.
Really, I'm going to add motivational speaker and healer to your bio now, Micah. That was very well said. You really, it resonates. It hits close to home because you can't outbrawn a horse. They're faster than you'll ever be, and they're probably as smart as you are too, right? So it's very humbling. I'm realizing that from what you're saying is you have to look within and be creative just to find a way to work with the horse. So kudos to you for the work that you do. Kyle, I missed you. So nice to chat with you again.
Good to see you, Zen.
All right. Well, listen, I know that you recently were over at the ranch, and the overall idea is to stay present, focused, and in the moment with the help of a trained four-legged companion at your side. You recently had the opportunity of visiting the ranch and even got to ride. I know that Revere Securities is a proud supporter of the program, and we are as well right here at WOR. Heroes and Horses is game-changing. But now you also are quite the deep individual, as I know you, often using your gut and intuition to guide you in the decisions you make in business and personal. But as the president at Revere Securities, you're faced with a ton of pressures. What did you learn while visiting the ranch? How was your overall emotional state after leaving? And why are you so committed to supporting this program?
Well, I think the program itself is amazing what they're doing for these veterans, getting them off the opioids and getting them focused on, the land and being with each other in the 41-day program that Micah and his team has put together. But also for me, just to get out into like Ennis, Montana and Virginia City, Montana, and to see the natural, spectacular beauty of that space and to see the openness and to see probably how most of humanity has existed through our entire history is more in that setting than the urban jungle that we live in here in New York City. And I think whether you're in the mountain at night with someone like Mike and one of his friends looking at the stars, and you see about 1 billion stars up there with no ambient light, or you're just sitting there on the ranch watching these guys work with the horses, it's something that kind of touches your soul and brings you back to the essence of what it is to be a man or be a woman and really to be a human.
Yeah, I love it. You're so deep, buddy. You're so deep. Micah, our military veterans are facing unprecedented challenges really as a result of their service to our nation and their dedication in protecting your dedication and protecting our freedom, going into undeterred and into hostile environments can't be overlooked, especially upon returning home. We know that 60% are under the age of 34. So that's a whole bunch of future moms and dads. And in fact, our youth. That's alarming. What is your mission with Heroes and Horses?
Well, Heroes and Horses, there's 50,000 nonprofits in North America that, between 2012 and the end of 2020, we spent $92 billion on. All right. Every 64 minutes, a veteran commits suicide in North America. So there's a lot of heavily funded institutional failures that are happening around the country. And the thing is that I believe that we've gotten too much, that we've actually gotten to a place where we help people to death. We help people so much that they lose the foundation to help themselves. And in turn, more institutions need to be created, to make up for that problem. And so Heroes and Horses is a 41-day long continuous conversation with yourself. And you're really, we could say, your higher self, right? Who am I outside of experience? Who am I outside of identity? So at Heroes and Horses, there's 41 days, no hot showers. There's 41 days of meditation, 41 days of breath work. There's 41 days of working out. There's 41 days of getting in a sauna. There's 41 days of a cold plunge. Between 500 and 600 miles are ridden on their horses. They'll go through a 41-day leadership and spend 22 days in the backcountry in the wilderness and not be on a cell phone for 41 days. They'll go through 2 Lakota sweat purification ceremonies. They'll go through sound medicine, and they'll hike up physically some of the highest peaks in the state. All of these are tools to shift focus from an individual that is perpetually looking out for answers to be told what to do and what normal looks like and where to go, to a person that looks in for answers and then begins to express kind of that infinite mentality through the finite of what they are. And so they realize that it's always them, right? It's always them. They're living their own creation. They are the masters of their own debt. It's not the military. It's not, it's not their social economic group. What it really is that the obstacles and challenges that they're facing are actually their greatest opportunities. They're just presenting as their worst nightmare right now. And so, so often we look at this and we don't realize that the opportunity is actually contained within the obstacle itself. And so rather than talk about it and to use words experientially, we peel back those layers to who the person is outside of identity and outside of experience. And that takes two things. That takes pressure and it takes time.
Yeah.
And we're not going to fix the problem taking somebody to eat donuts and float in a tube for 3 days. It takes time to change and to dissolve the kind of these concepts and these boundaries that we have allowed to be placed on us. We've built our own prison, and then we exist inside of there and blame the thing that we built. And so that happens out here on the back of a horse over 41 days through all these modalities that reduce all dependency. I mean, even down to hot water. We got to get back to the core of what we are.
It's quite fascinating with the program you have. Well thought, well put together, and coming from a veteran, designed for veterans. That's priceless. Kyle, military veterans right now are faced with an array of barriers to financial well-being, including a lack of stable employment, difficulties budgeting, making ends meet, limited financial knowledge. The list goes on, and really poor judgment making, really because service members living on a base, to Micah's point, have their basic needs met. They may not have had the opportunity to learn the skills necessary to be financially independent. There's predatory lenders out there, and they tend to target military members and veterans. In fact, the largest concentration of payday lending businesses in the country are in zip codes near military bases. So active duty service members have been found to be 3 times more likely than civilians to take out payday loans. Now, all of this falls on top of the adverse effects on financial security, sometimes caused by multiple deployments that can lead to family instability or job loss. We have about 2 minutes. What financial advice, Kyle, do you have to the large percentage who joined our military to serve our nation?
I would probably give them the similar advice that I'd give anybody who's looking for saving their retirement. You take a certain percentage of your income away, you tuck it away every month, try to take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you, whether it's through your IRA, your Roth IRA, maxing out a 401k if you do decide to work in the private sector, or if you stay in the non-for-profit or 403b. But at the same time, when somebody comes to you with the next best idea or the next magic beans, maybe just push it off to the side and say, you know what, that seems really interesting. That's really not for me. And I just want to invest in the S&P 500 for the long term. If you have children, take advantage of the programs the U.S. government offers us, like the 529 plans where you can save for your children, where it's tax deferred. But really sit down and be prudent with your money, because you're always going to have that pension, but people are always going to prey on you and try to take advantage, especially, which is sad, people should not be taking advantage of the most unfortunate, but that seems to be the way society is sometimes. So I would say stay the course, take advantage of the systems that we have here, and take a certain percentage and tuck it away every month for yourself, for your retirement, and for your children.
Well said right there. Expert advice, president of Revere Securities. All right, Micah, I'll throw this one over to you. We have about 48,000 vets that are homeless. About 41% feel like a guest in their own homes. 84% of veterans say that the American public has little awareness of the challenges facing them and their families. And then we have 71% of Americans saying that they don't understand the problems faced by those who have served since September 11th. What do you say to this?
Well, I think before that we get concerned about what people think about us, I think we have to be more concerned about what we think about ourselves. And, to me, like that's the problem. We spend so much time worrying about what everybody else is thinking about us, or everybody else recognizing our service, which is important. But more importantly is that what are we doing for ourselves, and how are we taking those experiences ourselves and building and growing upon them? If you look at the World War II generation, 42% of those individuals came back and started businesses that are still operating today. We have companies like Comcast and FedEx, right? And then you look at today, the Iraq and Afghanistan veteran generation, 4.5% of those individuals are attempting to become entrepreneurs or start businesses. What happened? What happened in that span of time? And if you look at the numbers and you kind of you play them out, what happened was help institutions came along and began to help people so much that they stopped. The best thing that ever happened to that generation was that there was nothing there for them. They came home, they fought in America's toughest war. 496,000, individuals were killed during that time. And they showed up at Dad's farm in Iowa and they started a hardware store because they had nothing else to do but to be innovative and entrepreneurial. And that to me is the backbone of what makes America so great. And I think we need to return to that and not be so concerned about what everybody else thinks about us.
Ah, well said. Amen, brother. And with, like you said earlier, you said there's over 65,000 veteran-related nonprofits in the U.S., and all these billions of dollars are spent each year on programming meant to really assist in reintegrating these vets back into civilian life. But at your program, who's eligible for your program, and is there an age limit, really? Because it's very physically demanding.
Yeah, it's physically demanding, it's mentally demanding, and it's spiritually demanding. It's all three. And we don't have an age limit. We have taken a Vietnam vet once. He called me up. I rejected his application, actually. And he called me up and said, "Why'd you reject my application?" And I said, "Well, I'll be honest with you. You could die in this program. Physically, spiritually, mentally demanding." And he goes, "I've been dead for 40 years. I said, "You're selected." And, he's actually at the ranch right now. Today, he's up here volunteering. It completely changed his life. He walked in, he quit all the treatments, quit all the things, and is living an incredible life. So there is no age limit. It's combat veterans. That's who we take. 2.7 million veterans have served. 7,000 have died in that war, and there's 1,500 amputees. So there's more people that are suffering from PTSD or PTS, whatever you want to call it, and all the other things that come along with the byproduct of being in combat. So there's no shortage of individuals that need to come to this program, and everybody that's eligible that's served in the global war on terrorism.
I love it. I love it. And Kyle, when you were over at the ranch, I mean, obviously this was very impactful stuff. I know that you took a lot, you took home a lot from that experience. But right now, when you look at the overall numbers, you have like 94% are proud of their service. 83% are male. We have 17% being female, but we have close to 60% who are married. So in a nutshell, you have a mix of demographics here. And to Micah's point, it's a generation that when they came back from war, there was nothing there for them. So you spoke about financial planning and how kind of important that is and giving them advice. But is there, from your perspective, is there any benefit for these veterans to be taking whatever money they have left and be reinvesting it into businesses within their communities? Or is it better if they are planning long-term so they can seed themselves and their families?
I think it really depends on the person, right? Some people are more adapt to working in the 9-to-5 job, and maybe they have 4 or 5 kids and they need the help where the wife and the husband are raising the children. So maybe that's better for them to have a long-term outlook and to take the solid job at the Home Depot or the Lowe's or the Johnson & Johnson. But other people are just more entrepreneurial by nature. That is their nature, and they should do whatever they're going to succeed the most in. And again, not to harp on the government, but the government does have a lot of programs out there for people that want to start their own small business, especially for people that are veterans, for people that used to serve law enforcement, first responders, where they will give them almost interest-free loans to go out there and start that carpenter shop, or to go out there in the more, let's say, modern gig economy, do something that's not a carpenter shop, that's something that's much more cutting edge. Who knows? Maybe they're involved in a new drone technology to survey land like where Micah is. So I think there's a lot of things out there, but I think it really depends on the individual. You shouldn't try to take a square peg and put it in a circular hole, because if someone's not entrepreneurial, to force them down that way is probably not the best idea. But at the same time, if someone is entrepreneurial and wants to go out there and work with their own hands, I say, by all means, please do it, because that'd be the best way you can serve yourself and our country.
Very well said. And you're right. And you know what? It takes, these are things that that come roll off your tongue very easy in terms of advice, but there are veterans out there that haven't had the benefit of education, that haven't had mentorship, that haven't even had a parent really present throughout their most formative years. So, this might sound like simple advice, but it really makes an impact, and the segments really, really matter. And right on 710 WOR, which is the voice of New York, we are the top 30th percentile of the income distribution, but we have the most loyal followers for veterans, and the highest amount of donors are the very listeners on the 710 WOR platform. So a lot of them are veterans themselves. So thank you so much for coming on, Micah. God bless you for the work you do. You guys are incredible, and I'm going to keep sending lots of hype your way to make sure people are checking out the website.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you to Kyle and his team and everybody at Revere for all they're doing for us. And we're on a mission, and that mission is to make substantial change that'll be a legacy for American veterans. So thanks for giving us a voice. Appreciate it.
You're doing a great job. All right. That was our Business and Buzz segment brought to us by Revere Securities. That was Kyle Wold, president at Revere Securities, and his good friend, Micah Fink, founder and CEO of Heroes and Horses. Please head to their website. Every donation counts. heroesandhorses.org. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. We'll be right back after this.